It's Andy again, and today I'm going to be reading the third chapter of The Bald Bandit. So let's get started. Chapter 3. With black shoe polish in his hair and plastic fangs in his mouth, Dink looked like Dracula. His mom had made him a cape from an old black raincoat. He tied the cape around his neck just as the doorbell rang. A strange creature stood on his porch. The thing was wrapped in green cloth. Tufts of red hair poked out of the top. Large black high tops stuck out at the bottom. "How do I look?" the thing asked. Dink took out his fangs and grinned, like some weird vegetable, half carrot and half asparagus. Josh shuffled inside the house. "You look pretty good, Dink. I like the blood dripping down your chin." The bell dinged again. This time it was a miniature Elvis. Ruth Rose was wearing a white suit with sequins everywhere. She even carried a little guitar. Her Elvis wig made her look about 2 inches taller. Ruth Rose strummed her guitar and wiggled her hips. "Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen," she said, taking a bow. "Come on in, Elvis," Dink said. "We have to talk about Operation Redhead before we go trick-or-treating." They sat at Dink's kitchen table. A basket of candy stood waiting for the neighborhood kids. "Here's my plan," Dink said. "Every house we go to, we ask if anyone knows a skinny red-headed kid." "That's my plan," Ruth Rose said. Dink grinned. "Oh, yeah, I forgot." One of Ruth Rose's black eyebrows was crooked. "We have to keep our eyes peeled. Check out tall kids trick-or-treating." "Got it," Dink said. "Anyone with red hair, we ask them if they took a video of the bank robber," Ruth Rose went on. "Check," Dink said. "Any other ideas?" "Yeah, I got a great idea," Josh said. "Let's stop talking and get moving." Dink's mother walked into the kitchen. She screamed and clutched her chest. Here's a good view of what's going on. "Oh my goodness, monsters in my kitchen!" Ruth Rose stood up. "I'm not a monster, Mrs. Duncan. I'm Elvis." Dink's mom adjusted Ruth Rose's left eyebrow. "I know, honey, you make a great Elvis, but these other two..." She shuddered and made a terrified face. "We're going now, Mom." Dink fit the plastic fangs over his teeth. He handed Josh his paper bag and took one for himself. "Please be back in 2 hours," his mother said. "Dad and I will have some cider and donuts for you." 3 kids each took a different street. They agreed to meet back at Dink's house in about 2 hours. Dink headed down Woody Street. He looked at every tall kid in a costume, checking for red hair, but most of the kids out were shorter than him. He counted 17 ghosts, 20 little witches, 8 angels with floppy wings, and a zillion small furry animals. Dink rang Mrs. Davis's doorbell. "Trick or treat." "Oh, hello, Dink," said Mrs. Davis. She dropped a small bag of candy kisses into his sack. "Have you seen any red-headed kids tonight?" Dink asked. "Redheads?" Mrs. Davis patted her white hair. "I'm afraid I don't know anyone besides your friend Josh who has red hair." Dink thanked Mrs. Davis for the candy and walked next door to old Mr. Kramer's house. Mr. Kramer was a little deaf. "Do you know a skinny redhead?" asked Dink in a loud voice. Mr. Kramer turned one ear and leaned toward Dink. "What's that you say? A tinny redhead? A skinny redhead," Dink yelled even louder. He wished he had Ruth Rose with him. She was the only one loud enough for Mr. Kramer to hear. Mr. Kramer dropped a nickel in Dink's bag and slammed the door. Dink sighed. He followed some ghosts to the next house on Woody Street. A gorilla opened the door when Dink rang the bell. It had a hairy chest and a huge mouth filled with yellow teeth. "Trick or treat," said Dink. The gorilla dropped a banana into Dink's bag. "Have you seen any tall, red-headed teenagers walking around?" Dink asked. The gorilla grunted and shook his head. "Thanks anyway," said Dink. 2 hours later, Dink, Josh, and Ruth Rose poured their candy onto Dink's dining room table. Dink took out his fangs. "Any luck?" he asked. Josh unwrapped his face. "I saw 4 redheads, 2 girls about 10 years old and 2 adults. No one I talked to knew a skinny redhead in high school." Ruth Rose took off her wig and eyebrows and dropped them into her plastic jack-o'-lantern. "Same here," she sighed, slumping in her chair. "Nobody knew the right redhead, and I asked everybody." Josh ripped open a miniature bag of M&Ms. "I really wanted that $100, he said. Maybe we should just forget it. Give up after just 2 days? No way, you guys. Dink climbed up on the table. He wrapped his cape around him, his face so just his eyes showed. In his best Count Dracula voice, he said, "We will never give up." That's the end of chapter 3. And I hope you enjoyed that, and in the next video, I will be reading chapter 4. So thank you for tuning into Storytime with Leos, and I'll see you guys next time.